Welcome to the Social for Brokers podcast. Today, I have with me someone who is going to help you sell more protection with less effort and actually enjoy doing it in the process. Now, if you are watching on YouTube, you'll have probably seen this face all over LinkedIn over the last few months. So George Gordon from Protection First is with us, and we're going to talk through how his personal approach to social media, coupled with some of his cheeky guerrilla marketing tactics that I have seen really grab attention. They grab attention from his ideal clients. So we're going to talk about how his mixture of personal content and these guerrilla marketing tactics can get you new clients. So we're going to get into those shortly. But before we do, let's speak to the main man himself. George, welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you very much. How are you doing?
Very good, thanks. Very good. You were saying this is your first podcast, so this is the nerve-wracking one.
Yeah, yeah, but you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? So
exactly.
Yeah,
There's always the first one. Awesome to have you on, mate. Awesome to have you on. So we've met at a few of the Mortgage First events, haven't we? You've been at you were at the golf day a few months ago when it was absolutely chucking it down. And I think did you guys win?
We did, yeah. We won, I think, Elliot last putt of the day and rolled it in for the win. So, yeah, but it wasn't the best day for golf. I'm surprised the course was even open, to be honest. So.
It was still open. And then you were there at the football event. You didn't play, did you? But you had what's your dog's name again? Because I think they stole the show.
Yeah, Chili was there. I played in the one the year before, but I had not played football for probably 15 years, and then I went straight on the pitch and I got hammered by I don't know who it was, but I got absolutely battered in the ribs, and I'm still in pain from it now. I've had loads of physio, so I was like, no chance of that going on.
I'm not doing that again.
No way.
Just stick with golf, what you can control. But no, it's been good to see you at those days, and thought it'd be awesome to get you on the podcast to talk about this protection, because you solely sell protection, don't you? But before we get into that, can you give us a bit of a background as to how you got to where you are today, please, George?
Yeah, so I originally started in a estate agency, so I kind of went straight from university to working for one of the local. It was a very new company, new estate agents, and they were about 6 months old when I started, and about 4 years later when I left, we've got 5 branches and 50, 60 staff. So, that was a fun time, but I'd kind of done properties up and that kind of thing. But I decided to go travelling. So I had about 18 months off, went travelling for a bit, and then came back and ended up doing new homes, back at the same company for a little bit. And then when I went to work I was a sales director for a new build company, and just before, as COVID was coming along, I kind of I got made redundant from there. But I'd already started doing this as a kind of like a bit of a side thing. Somebody I knew kind of started asking me if I wanted to get into it. So very naively started doing it. Was just Vitality only at the time. I kind of got talked into it, and then I decided that I wanted to work with more providers. So I moved to a different brokerage based up in the northeast that I'd actually come across on a podcast, funnily enough.
Okay.
And then it all kind of went from there. And then I joined Protection First and Mortgage First about 2 years. Well, it's pretty much 2 years ago now. So yeah.
God, I didn't realise you'd been there that long.
Yeah. I think it was about this time 2 years ago when I'd left the old business, and I think I got fully kind of signed up and right in business with Protection First in January, like start of January 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. So I suppose the question would be then, because people's natural thing is they go into, say, like financial services and then go down the protection route from there. Why did you decide to go protection rather than mortgages? What was your deciding factor there?
I don't really know, to be honest. It was just something like at the time, it was a lad I knew that had kind of started doing he'd done it before. But then he'd opened a pub in Chesterfield, and then they decided to open a new financial services company. And I knew him and started chatting to him, and he was quite an influential chap. So
Yeah,
it's not that I've never looked at doing mortgages. I've got my CMAP one, and
I love it.
but it's just I just enjoy the protection side of things, and
Yeah.
I'm like, do I take my focus off the protection and what I've learned a lot about, and start going down a new avenue, or do I just keep building on what I've already got? So I keep
It's just
I do
interesting to
yeah
know. It's obviously you've got really good at the protection side of things. Exactly why we've had you on today. That it's almost like why go broader when you can go even nicher into just the protection stuff? Because there's not. I know a few protection people that mortgage brokers outsource their leads to. So it's great to be in your position because there's mortgage brokers out there that don't like doing protection, so
yeah
they can outsource it to the likes of you guys. But this is where this podcast today, if there are mortgage advisors listening that are thinking, right, in 2025, I really want to be doing more protection. George is going to give a few really good tips away today of how you can take your protection to the next level. So tell us, what's your current conversion rate when it comes to protection?
Honestly, I've got no
Yeah.
idea.
I love this.
I have absolutely no idea. I'd love to be that type of person that is sat there. I've got to know where every lead's come from. I know, like, it's just tracking everything. Just isn't. It's not me.
Isn't you? Right, okay.
I know people who obviously do it, but I've got we have leads from different places, from all over the place, and some are like they're virtually cold, like they're very lukewarm, and some really warm, and they're all coming from different places. So I know I should probably be tracking them and where they've come from, what the conversion rate is, how to contact them, and all that kind of stuff. But I just do it on feel, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'd say, again, it's such a broad range of leads, but I'd say if they're warm, 75 to 80%.
Wow, okay.
If they're cold, 10 to 15, maybe 20. If they're like,
And
yeah,
that's really interesting that you talk about those cold and warm leads, because we'll get into how you generate those warm leads, because we want to generate that type of lead where it's a lot easier for you to convert. So when obviously you get leads from Protection First, and those come in from probably mortgage brokers that work at Mortgage First. How do you generate your own business? What do you do to generate not only like personal protection, but what about business protection clients? How do you get those type of leads, George?
So I was thinking about this before I came on. So I think in the past, I've used social media. Since I've been at Protection First, there's been a big kind of focus on getting the internal process right, and getting more of the brokers referring stuff if they're not doing it, and if they haven't done it, then how do we then kind of make sure that as a business that client's not leaving unprotected, because that doesn't do anybody any favors. So I think from the last couple of years really has been a massive focus on that, and the only really like lead generating things for my personal, like the business side of things that's external to the Mortgage First stuff is just doing networking really. So
Okay.
I was part of a BNI group. I know some people love them and some people hate them, but I did that for a couple of years, and it did work for me. Prior to Mortgage First, when I was doing more business protection, that was a lot on Facebook, and again a lot
Okay.
of networking in different groups. When I was doing the BNI, I was kind of like solely focusing on BNI because it's like every week, it's every Tuesday morning, plus then other meetings outside, so it's quite a lot to then start doing other networking groups. But a lot of it, yeah, like not back in the day, but kind of prior to getting everything right on the Mortgage First side of things, it was definitely a lot of
And
Facebook,
that
social media, networking.
and that's the thing. Those leads that are coming through are sold on the business, sold on the concept. So you're passing them over on a trusted basis between mortgage broker to protection. And that's a big thing for the listeners to take away, that if you are wanting more protection leads, you've got a whole back book of people that already trust in you. So
Mm-hmm.
it's what you're saying is it's making sure the processes of that handover, whether it's handover from mortgage advisor to protection advisor in the same business,
Mm-hmm.
or simply the handover of a difference of conversation of
Mm-hmm.
a, if it's a one person band that's a mortgage broker and they didn't cover their clients for the last 6 months, it's a phone call, isn't it, to say, right, I'm booking you back in for a protection appointment, this is what's happening. And instead of going out and trying to generate new leads on social media and networking, go and get the processes right at the back end first and go and touch base with all your existing clients. I suppose that seems to be the most lucrative thing that you've done over the last 6 months.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to ideally when it comes to protection, the best way to do it, when if you're doing it kind of mortgage brokers doing the mortgage and the protection brokers doing the protection, ideally you want to be having that conversation right at the start. So
Mm-hmm.
essentially, I'm going to do the mortgage, and then I'm going to pass you over to George. George is going to do the protection, and going as far as booking. They have my Calendly link, and booking in the client in on when they're speaking to them when they're doing the
Mm-hmm.
mortgage. I think, and then handing it over is the best way. It doesn't always happen like that, and I know it's hard to get clients to engage in it, but there are ways that you can do it. But I think it's about getting that conversation in right at the very very start. Like, we do this all together. It's not a kind
Mm-hmm.
of we give you the mortgage and then it's okay if you don't do the protection. Yeah, we'll kind of pass it over. Like, it needs to be, I'll do the mortgage. You'll speak to George. Whether they do take any protection out or not is a different story. But as long as they're having that conversation, then I think that's the most important thing.
So teeing up that conversation, and protection specialists that I've had on the podcast before, the ones that are really good, say exactly that. You mention it right at the beginning. It's not an add-on to the
Mm.
mortgage. It's this is part of the process. So
Yeah. Okay. So can
say
I
you've
just?
had somebody.
I'll just
Yeah,
tell
go
you
for it.
I was talking to somebody yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and this was more about business protection. It was another business protection broker, and he told me something. And I was like, that really makes sense. And what he said was, when he's dealing with businesses, is that, and when he's talking to solicitors and people like that to get referrals, what he's talking about doing is de-risking a deal. So if
Okay.
somebody's buying a business and they're taking out some finance on it to buy the business, and it's all complicated, what he's doing is making that deal less risky to everybody. And it's the
Mm-hmm.
same with the personal side of things. You're doing it's not you're buying a home, but if you're
You're buying the
doing
debt.
you're buying a home. So what you're doing is you're helping that client de-risk that situation. You're making it less
Mm-hmm.
risky for them to buy a home. So I know it's
Nice
nothing
way.
groundbreaking, but I think just the way that he put it made me
Yeah, I
think, oh,
like that.
I
You're
like that.
reducing the risk of that person losing their home, aren't they?
Yeah,
If it's by
yeah,
50, 60, 70%, I
yeah.
suppose it's almost turning around and going, do you want, if you buy this home, it's quite risky that you'll lose it. We can
Mm,
reduce the chance of that happening. I like that.
yeah.
So when people are in the appointment with you, what are some of the main objections that you come up against? Or what's the main one that you come up against, and how do you overcome that objection, George?
So on the personal side of things, when we're doing the personal protection, I think
Hmm.
a lot of the time I've got it with work. Obviously, price is quite often an objection. If you get to being on the call and going through things with them. And the other thing is just sometimes it's hard to catch people. People are busy, aren't they? So that's why
Hmm.
a lot of the time, like if we make sure we're doing it mortgage and protection together,
Hmm.
they're much more engaged. Whereas, like, if it's further down the line, people just don't find the time because they don't see it as important.
Hmm.
So yeah, they're probably some of the main objections that I get to
Okay,
hear.
so if I said to you, right, I've got it through work, what do you come back with?
Brilliant. Like most, not the majority of people don't have it with work, and that
Hmm.
what we can do is use that cover, and we can make sure that we'll put something in place that complements that. So it's not just a case of um, we're just going to chuck anything with like anything at you. We're going to look at what you've got in place with work and how can we boost that to make sure that you've got a long term protection plan. Because take public sector workers, for example, if
Hmm.
they've got 6 months full and 6 months half pay, great. But after 6 months of you being off work, you're down to half pay. Can you survive on that? No. Okay. So, and then what if you're off for more than a year? Can you survive on no income? No. Right. Okay. So, what we could, vitality, for example, 12 months deferred period
Hmm.
makes it a lot cheaper. So, and I think it's like bringing that person back to the fact that other people aren't as lucky as them. So,
Oh, okay,
majority
right.
majority of people who don't have work cover have to do it on a 4 week deferred period rather than a 3 month or a 6 month or a 12 month one. So
Interesting.
they're lucky people, but let's not forget you could never be able to go back to work again. So
Yeah.
let's look at how we protect it long term, and you can save some money because you use your work covers.
Yeah, 6 months. 6 months maybe isn't enough. I like that. Okay, awesome. So we've gone over objections. Now we're going to talk about social media because I know you've really ramped it up over the last few months. So, where would you say your favourite platform at the moment is?
100% LinkedIn,
Okay.
just because again, I'm moving back towards wanting to do more of the business protection. We've got quite a lot of
Mhm.
stuff going on with the mortgage first, and we've kind of got a nice system going and everything. So now it's a case of looking at getting back into more businesses. Not that I've still been doing some, but
Yeah.
I really want to kind of scale that side and bring in more
Hmm.
more business protection
So
clients.
yourself, and it's funny
Yeah,
because George and I had a call probably about 4 months ago. Well, probably longer than that. After the Mortgage First event, we had a putting competition at one of the stands, and George won it, and he won like an hour's social media training. And what we spoke about on that call wasn't anything really groundbreaking, but it was more putting your personality out there, wasn't it?
yeah,
Uploading photos about you. So, for example, you uploaded a photo of you sat at the top of the mountain the other day eating a cake. How does that type one? How do you come up with the concept ideas of the post? And two, what results do you see from it?
What do you mean in terms of the post with the photo,
Yeah,
or
so why do you choose that photo? Like, what is your thought process behind it?
I literally just went on my photos and just saw that one. I was like, I'll put that, and then I put "have your cake and eat it" at the bottom. Like I just made it up literally on the
I love
spot.
so that's exactly what I wanted you to say because I think what we do with social media is you try and overthink it too much
Yeah.
sometimes that you think I've got to go and hire a photographer or I've got to have a videographer and it's got to look professional. Whereas
Mm,
what George is saying there is he's gone through his photos of old photos that he's got, match it up to the social media post. You don't have to overthink. Now I'm a big fan of Canva and the branded content. Yes, that has its place. But
mm,
also, on the other hand, is exactly what George just said there. You've got a camera roll full of photos, full of you and the kids, if you're happy doing that, full of you and the dog, the cat, whatever it might be. All of that stuff is great for LinkedIn at the moment because it shows that personality.
yeah,
And
I
you've
completely
only been
agree.
doing it for a while, but have you started to see any results from that type of content, George?
Yeah, so um, bits and bobs, yeah, but I
Mhm.
know it's not. I very much I feel like at the start of the journey, and I think for me, it's just I think somebody said it on here before. It's like getting the reps in, and
Mhm.
if I looked at my post from 3 4 months ago, I'd be like, what on earth was I doing posting that? But I wouldn't have got to where I am now if I hadn't started somewhere and just done it, and you just have to
Yeah.
do it. And like I kind of now I'm seeing that my posts are getting more engagement. I'm getting more what do they call it when people see it on LinkedIn?
Insights like
Yeah,
reach,
insights. Yeah. So,
impressions.
yeah. So more insight, impressions. So more and more people are seeing it. But what I've noticed is that it's not really the type of people that I want to be speaking to. It's a lot of industry
Mhm.
people within the industry. Great, like lovely to get to know people in the industry, but really I'm looking to speak to directors, managing directors, HR consultants. The people who are going to make the decisions within the businesses,
Mhm.
not other brokers particularly.
Yeah, of
Um,
course. Yeah, because you can't sell to them, can you?
yeah, exactly. And so my kind of now I've started to feel like I'm being a bit more kind of myself on social media and
Mhm.
not overthinking it and putting out what I think and how I feel about things and whatnot. I need to, and that's attracting those kind of people. I need to then transition that type of content and how I'm writing it that's actually then going to appeal to the right type of people that
Yeah.
I want to
Well, you need to
influence.
connect with the right type of people
Yeah,
first. You need to, at the moment, your network is full of people that are never going to buy from you. Do you
yeah,
know what I mean? That's so
mm,
you need to get your network to a point where it's people that are going to buy from you and resonate with
mm,
your type of content. But what you're doing differently is you're not just resting on your laurels with your social media content. You're using guerrilla marketing, aren't you? You're doing a bit of different marketing. So talk to us about the blue envelopes that you sent out with a golden sand timer in there. One, what was that all about? And two, have you had any responses yet from it?
I didn't know that's what it was. Is that guerrilla marketing?
Guerrilla marketing, yeah, it's something that's kind of like grabs people's attention that's a bit out of the ordinary.
Yeah. So the concept behind that was I think you can with B2B marketing you can extract data off get like Google Maps for example, so you can search for
Mhm.
different types of businesses. So um, I pulled off I don't know, I can't remember how many there is, but there's maybe 1,000 or 2,000 businesses in different industries. So search X industry, Y industry, this one, this one, this one, brings it all off, and then kind of industry by industry, some of those letters are going out to these different businesses. The letter I've got it here because I thought you said you were going to ask about it. Essentially, the the envelopes, the brand color, so it's the blue, and then it's written name in black Sharpie. So
Mhm.
name, address on the envelope, and then inside is just an A4 letter on decent paper, which it's not a massive sales thing. It's essentially saying if you can give me 10 minutes to have a conversation with you, I can tell you how you can de-risk your business. So the
Right.
business that this has gone out to is people. So this was actually done to a lot of dentists.
Okay.
So you've got the practice owners, which I've found out that a lot of them don't do a lot of the work. Not all of them, but when I've been like following up, a lot of them aren't actually doing a lot of work, and they've got people in the surgery
Mhm.
or the practice that are doing the physical work. So they're relying on those people. If one of those people gets
Nice.
ill, then they potentially lose a big chunk of income. So
Mhm.
that's why it's gone out to those dentists, and it's essentially there's a couple of things that we can do for them. There's a review from a business protection client, and it's just all about saying give us 10 to 12 minutes, and we can have a chat and
So,
then see if it's
so it's
helpful.
an informative piece of paper that says this is what we do, this is how we can help.
Yeah,
So the timer then, I suppose, is
yeah,
about like give us a bit of your time almost.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yes. And then so
Like
you've
that.
got the QR code so they can book an appointment. But yeah, the sand timer. It's not just about having like it's not just about the time. It's also about if you get that letter through the door
Mhm.
and you feel it and it's got something lumpy. It's called, so the concept's called lumpy mail. So
Okay, yeah.
if you feel it's got something lumpy in it, rather than it just being a piece of paper in there, you're way more likely
Yeah.
to be like, oh, what's this? Like handwritten and blue envelope, like with something in it. I'm interested to know what this is. You open it up and you've got a sand timer, and then a letter from somebody. So it's just it creates a bit of intrigue, doesn't it?
Yeah,
And
love it.
I
Yeah,
can't,
definitely. I think it's awesome.
I can't take all the credit for this at all. In fact, I can't really take any of the credit. It was a friend of mine who helped me with it. So
Oh no, well, thank you to your friend. I think that's such a great idea. I've actually seen a
hopefully I'm
guy
not
on
butchered
LinkedIn.
the explanation.
Pardon?
Hopefully I'm not butchered the explanation of how it works.
No, I love that. The lumpy mail. I saw a guy on LinkedIn during lockdown actually, and this is all he did during lockdown and landed some great clients. And I remember seeing one of them. He sent them coconuts in the post with a letter, like big coconut, and was like, "We know that getting new leads is a tough nut to crack, but let
Mm.
us have a go at it." And
Yeah,
he got some abusive phone calls back, going, "Mate, why are you effing sending me a coconut in the post? You're
yeah.
absolutely tapped." Blah blah. But then he said, out of the 50 coconuts that I sent, I got one call back, and that
Yeah,
one call back was the most lucrative piece of business.
yeah.
And the conversation was, "Oh, your package made me laugh." And
Mm.
all of a sudden, it's like, right, that's my type of client that I want to deal with. So I've never had anybody on the podcast before that has used guerrilla marketing tactics like that. And in the age of social media where everybody is doing it, this could maybe put you in a different. Talking myself out of business here, aren't I? But what I'm saying is, you need that joint up approach. You need to do something different to stand out in your local area. So
Mm.
I absolutely love that, and I wanted to speak to you about that on the podcast.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think.
awesome. So, sorry.
Sorry, just really quickly on that side of things. That is something that I'll be tracking. So I will be
Yeah.
looking at where which. So we've got two different letters. So it's like split testing two different letters. Very
Okay.
similar, but slight different title and all that kind of stuff. So we're actually split testing to see which one works best to start with, and
Oh,
then
cool.
yeah, I think I will be tracking. And obviously, if I do like say 5%, 100 out, then it's not cheap, by the way. Like it's cost quite a lot.
No.
But what if you send 100 out, then if you get realistically, if I get one client out of it, that's the type of client that I'm looking for, based on all the
Mhm.
research, then that'll be more than enough to to make it worth it.
Do you know what I do? And this is talking about it, it costs you a lot of money, definitely. What I do is make sure that it's not just sending them out in the post that gets you results. What I do is maybe next time you do a video of you um, wrapping them up, do a video of you explaining why you're sending them out to people, do photos. Do you know what I mean? Just so you're utilizing that for social media content.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
know what
yeah.
I mean? Kind of make it dual purpose, so you're not just relying on it landing in their post.
Yeah, I mean
Awesome.
the follow up to it, because I'm not really expecting anybody to just book an appointment and ring me. Like I've rang a lot of the practices after to follow up. It's
Okay.
hard to get hold of the person that I need to speak to, so I've now got emails for all the people who I do need to speak to, and then
Yeah.
they'll get I don't know if you've heard of Vidyard. You probably have.
Yeah, like a video of you chatting away.
Yeah, so it's like an email with them. I'll do a video to them and explain everything. So yeah,
Awesome, love it. I think it's genius. So your friend's a genius, right? So before we get into the strategy question about how to generate new leads, we make a donation of £10 to a charity of your choice. So which charity did you want to make the donation to?
Bluebell Wood, please. Children's Hospice.
Children's Hospice. We'll make a note of that, fab. Okay, so we're now going to pretend that you've moved to the north of Scotland. You've got a laptop and a mobile phone and an internet connection. What would you do to start generating new leads?
So I would look online first of all and find some local networking groups to start with. I think definitely need to go out to them and just meet some people, some business owners in the area, and kind of get to know them, connect with them on socials, and then just keep doing that, plus then connecting on LinkedIn with other local people in the area. I mean, I'm fortunate that, like yourself, I think that I'm not really limited to any one area as long as they're
So
based
you
in the
could do
UK.
it all over the country.
Yeah, so I could carry on doing what I'm doing, but then also I do think it's good to be a local face, because if you are local and you can then go out and meet them face to face, then that's always a good thing. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'd connect them, and I'd just say to people, look, I'm new to the area. I'm keen to meet with people. I just a conversation. I'm not looking to sell anything. I'm just here to meet new people and gain connections.
Love it. So connect with as many people as you physically can and start telling them, because I think as humans, if somebody says to you, look, I'm new to the area, you almost try and take them under your wing and tell them about your new area. And
Yeah,
although they are informing you about that area, it's a conversation starter, isn't it? That could lead to you talking to them about business and how you could help them.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, George, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Where would be the best place for people to connect with you if they wanted to reach out?
Just on LinkedIn. What's my? I think it's George. Protection
You just
first.
added George.
George. I'm just checked.
Awesome.
So yeah, just on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all the tips that you've given people today. And I'm sure people are going to go and start buying loads of timers now, loads of gold sand timers. I can see it happening. But George, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me on.
Cheers.